welcome back to House of Cards. We are going for episode number 10. I mean, it's a small milestone, but it's a milestone nonetheless. So I'm very happy we've gotten this far. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the videos. I try to bring a fresh perspective to the hobby and collecting, as I know a lot of the channels that I enjoy myself too really focus on prices and charts and movement and all that stuff. I try to bring a little bit of a different angle of just kind of give you some friendly tips and sort of want to be your buddy who collects, talking to your friend that also collects. And I think that's kind of how I've gone about this channel. I don't think there's a secret formula that I'm trying to use to make this content. I just thought it'd be cool to put some of my thoughts and some of my my day-to-day hobby sort of interactions down on video and share it with everybody, so hopefully they can take something away from it themselves. So with that said, a kind of an important topic has came up recently, definitely over the last few days, regarding the security and the authenticity of graded slabs. And if you're active on social media within the hobby, or you digest a bunch of different content, you probably have seen this pop up on your feed, and I thought it was something important to dig into a little bit, because this really is a big problem that could become even bigger if it's not addressed soon. And I just want to first say that this isn't a new problem. This has happened for years. There's been counterfeit slabs for many years through different grading companies. But this time around, it happens to be focused on BGS, or Beckett Grading Services, if you're not familiar. They are definitely probably the second most regarded grading company right now, behind PSA and ahead of Sgc. But still, probably the most, I guess you say, tenured of all the grading companies in the industry. Beckett, again, if you grew up during my time period, was the kind of, the leader in grading and in price guides and all the different things. So for them to really, kind of get, I guess you say, called out in this scenario we're in right now, it's been a pretty big eye-opening thing for a lot of people, because they are regarded as one of the big guys. So with that, I wanted to just kind of quickly give you an update. Is basically counterfeit slabs have been popping up on eBay now with real cards in them, but the slab itself was counterfeited, so the card never actually went to grading. It was just basically created in a slab was created for the card, and the card was put in the slab, and then of course the value of the card now multiplies in value quite a bit. So some savvy counterfeiters, and they believe this originated in China, have started creating their own slabs in a sense to quickly get their cards high value. So that is not good, obviously, for many, many reasons, but it's also important for us as a community of collectors to really be able to know how to identify counterfeits. And so I'm going to spend a little time on this episode looking at the different grading companies and kind of just digging into what are their ways to counter counterfeiting. that's a mouthful. And just give you guys some sort of some tips and tricks that I've picked up just through my own research, and also from other content creators who have been talking about this subject pretty regularly over the last few days. So let's start with the company in question now, which is BGS, or Beckett Grading System. And I think that's something we want to look at here, because I have a BGS slab here. So this is a card that I bought online already graded a while ago, and it was something that I felt at the time very comfortable buying, because it was in a slab, so I never once thought would this be counterfeit. Now, disclaimer, I don't think anyone would counterfeit a Randall Cobb rookie card in a slab, even though Randall Cobb's awesome. I don't think that this would be a high enough ticket value to go through the work to do that. However, we're just using this slab to show sort of details and examples of what it is we're talking about. So at any rate, there are a few tall tale signs that have been called out, and I'll go ahead and show a post here from one of the content creators that I follow on Instagram. There we go. Now this is a very quick way to tell from the actual patent number that is embedded into the slab itself. So you'll be able to see here if it has the PAT and then the dot and then the number following it. That's a pretty good indicator that it is authentic. It looks like the counterfeit ones are missing the dot. Now again, that's now. It could change. They could, you know, recreate their mold or whatever it is to make their slabs and add the dot moving forward. But for now, what it seems like is the majority of the Beckett slabs that, you know, are counterfeit do not have that dot between the PAT and then the number. So that is a quick way. One side note though is that if it is a thick graded card, meaning, you know, usually a memorabilia or a patch, you know, card, or a autograph card, sometimes that serial number is missing. So if that's the case, then you probably need to look for other identifiers. One way is by looking at the actual graded little card here. It's really hard to tell. You probably won't be able to pick it up on this video, but along the edges there is a perforation. Sorry, it's a hard word to say. A perforation, and it's very, very slight. But when you hold them up close, you can see a real slight perforated edge. That is a sign that it is an authentic Beckett graded card, because that is not, from what I've heard, maybe you can see it there in the light, that is not on the fake cards. They don't have the perforated edge there. So that is another way of telling. There's also other tricks in terms of like the fonts and the spacing and the sizing. That's a little bit harder for the average person with the naked eye, but you know, if you do happen to have a legitimate Beckett slab and you're looking to buy a new one, you know, just kind of just quickly look at the, you know, the different fonts and the different spacing in between everything, and you know, compare it to the picture of the one that you're looking to buy, and just make sure it looks the same, you know, because it is hard sometimes to get the exact same fonts when you're trying to replicate things. So a lot of times the counterfeiters will find something that's close enough, but it's not the exact same one, and usually even, you know, an untrained eye can usually pick those up pretty easily. So there's a couple quick tips real quick on how to you know, spot the Beckett fakes there. So I wanted to also bring your attention to an Sgc slab. So Sgc is probably, you know, and I hate to say it's probably the least secure out of the three, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen much indicators to show that these slabs are, you know, some have any sort of security features to them. There isn't anything that has like a super, you know, identifier that might be able to tell you right away if it's counterfeit or not. There isn't any, you know, embedded serial numbers in the actual plastic slab, even though the Beckett one is just their patent number. At least that's like one more thing that the counterfeiters have to get right. So that is a little bit concerning. They don't even have any sort of, you know, special, I guess you say, like watermarks or anything within the label. There is a serial number for the card. So of course, anytime you're buying a card, you know, if you do, you know, want to cross your T's and dot your I's, you should definitely go on to the site of the, you know, company slab that you are buying and just type in the serial number and make sure it's the same matching card to that serial number. However, what we've heard is that the counterfeiters are actually finding the serial numbers for cards that they have and then replicating the serial number. So even if you typed it in, you would see the same card, so you would assume that it's the same one. So anyways, that could be a little bit tricky, but I think sometimes, you know, they might just type in a fake number or something, which in case you might be able to catch that. So something kind of cool there. So I'm gonna go and look at that, and you know, I feel like this probably would be the easiest of the three to replicate, and I definitely, you know, don't think there's anything really proprietary in anything that they're doing with this slab that would give it any kind of you know, make it hard for counterfeiters to replicate these. So I hope Sgc kind of jumps on board with this security talk once it gets, you know, a little more out there. And then the final one is the PSA, and of course PSA is definitely the leading company right now for the security features. So there's a lot of different features on this card that I'm going to go over, but first we're going to go through their actual websites, and I want to kind of show you there because it's a lot more in depth than me just blabbering on about it here. But I mean, quick glance, you can see there's a UPC barcode, there's, you know, reflective, you know, different materials, there's a watermark. Anyways, I mean, on the back, QR code, all kinds of stuff. So let's look real quick at the 3 different websites, and I think this will give you a better idea of sort of who's kind of taking this seriously and who's not. All right, so we're gonna start here with Beckett, and what I did was I went to each of their websites and I looked for where they kind of talked about any kind of security features with their slabs, or how they, you know, are handling security. And, you know, quite honestly, I'm a little disappointed with Beckett because they really didn't even mention it. They just talk about, you know, the actual slab itself, you know, protecting your card and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It could be fully viewed. A label will run across the top. Each label will feature a set name, grade, and specific ID, and a barcoded serial number. So again, cool. I mean, a serial number is great, but that doesn't really, you know, do anything. And then it says extreme precautions have been taken to prevent counterfeiting of the label and the holder. Well, what are those precautions? There's nothing that they can point at that shows us, you know, what exactly those extreme precautions are. Obviously, they're not that extreme because people are counterfeiting them. So that's pretty much all I could find on the Beckett site in terms of, you know, what they're doing in terms of security features. Unfortunately, the Sgc site's even worse. There is literally nothing on here that even mentions security of their slabs. I looked, you know, if someone else sees it and I don't, and please, you know, let me know. But, you know, I popped around their site. You know, they just talk about, you know, the grading process, authentication, their grading scale, and I mean, literally there was nothing I could find here that talked about any sort of security features or anything of the like. So that is a little troubling, and I really do hope that Sgc kind of gets their act together on that a little bit, because I think this is going to become an issue moving forward. Now, PSA, on the other hand, has an entire page of their website dedicated to just this. So if you're not aware, PSA did go through quite a few scandals in, you know, over the last few years that brought sort of a lot of this new sort of technology to their company, because they really did get, you know, kind of beat up a little bit. And being that they are a public company, you know, they have to take these things a lot more seriously than I would say the other companies do, even though they all should. PSA was definitely, you know, feeling the heat when their shares and everything started dropping in the middle of their scandal. So they had to make, you know, a quick, swift action to fix some of those things. So this is a quick rundown of everything that they're doing. So if you don't know, you know, a while back they switched over to this new, what they call the Lighthouse label, which, you know, adds all their new security features. If you see old PSA labels, they're pretty basic. There really isn't much in terms of security features. So this all came as of, you know, the shortcomings they had recently. So the Lighthouse label is great. It has a lot of cool features on it. There is a PSA Lighthouse logo has an on-off illumination effect. So one side looks dark, the other side looks light. So you can kind of move it in the light and you'll see it kind of do that feature. The fugitive ink behind it, so that's kind of like, you know, like the watermarking that you'll find like on checks and other kind of more formal sort of documents and stuff. That's something super important that's really hard to counterfeit as well. The back of the label has a Lighthouse logo with an on-off illumination effect also. So again, when you move it around in the light, you'll kind of see these different points of the label kind of change different to light to dark. So it's really cool. And then it says a UV logo pattern, you know, inside of this right here. So really cool. You put it under UV lights and you can see a logo pattern. And then over here, you got the fugitive ink as well. Like I said, the watermark, which, you know, was on the front as well. It's down here on the bottom. And then a QR code, of course, you know, quick way to kind of check your card. So you don't have to, you know, log into a website, type in this long number. You can just, you know, pull up your phone camera app, and then this will snap and go right to your verification of your card. So it makes it super quick and easy. just really thoughtful for them to kind of put all that together. Here's a little video you can watch if you want to kind of learn more about it. They talk about the actual holder itself and how it's very, you know, hard to, I guess you say, mess with, in a sense, to tamper with. So again, they created this, you know, proprietary plastic sort of holder that basically makes it really hard for someone to just open it up. Anywho, you can kind of see just overall, just this whole section really talks about everything that they've done and everything that they're doing to really make sure that everything is legit on their side. I do like this too. They offer a cost-free secure scan service to orders seeking regular service or hire. So you would have to pay a little bit, you know, one of the higher services. You can't get it on the bulk services, but it's a cool thing that they do where they, you know, take front and back scans of the higher end PSA encapsulated items, and then they make those images available on the website. So you can actually create a pretty cool catalog of your higher end cards through PSA if you use their, you know, higher end services as well, which I think is cool, because then you really have that extra layer of protection in terms of, look, my card is actually on their website. You could see it. Here's a picture of it. So again, that's just one more layer of protection that you can get. So anyways, it goes into, you know, autographs, authenticity, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I think that was a really good way to sort of show everyone, you know, kind of what PSA is doing and how, you know, that could be a very important part of the hobbies in the coming years here, as you know, things get more and more popular across the world and across the country and everywhere else. It's, you know, it's just unfortunate, but it happens. You know, I mean, there's shady people out there for everything. You know, I mean, you name it. There's fake sneakers, there's fake handbags, there's fake. I mean, there's fake everything. There's fake money. I mean, everything can be counterfeited, and it really just comes down to, you know, what company do you want to support and who's actually supporting the hobby, you know, through their actions in terms of what they're doing to make sure that your investments are protected. And if you're paying them good money to put your cards into their slabs, you know, I think you are also entrusting them to make sure that, you know, these slabs cannot be faked, and therefore causing the value of your cards to go down, because people are going to start questioning the validity of that slab itself. So I'll leave it there. I hope this gave you guys some more inside info into this whole kind of world of, you know, fake slabs and this unfortunate a part of the hobby. But again, let's just all be safe and make sure you just kind of do your due diligence before you go out there and just buy stuff up. And I think that'll hopefully lead to a good, healthy hobby moving forward for years to come. All right, thanks again for joining me for another episode of House of Cards. If you haven't already, I'd super appreciate it if you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't. I'm going to keep putting these videos out as frequently as I can, and hopefully it continues to bring you some joy and knowledge into this great hobby of ours. All right, until next time, peace.